Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Strong and the Geek podcast.
Woohoo!
I am your host, Ben Arrears, and with me today is my special guest co-host, not Brie Larson.
Yeah, hi! I'm not Brie Larson! And now I'm not Captain Marvel!
Yeah, not Brie. I'm sorry that you didn't get booked, but that damn Brie Larson did.
I must have been stuck in the room.
Ah!
Oscar award winner.
Yeah.
We have a very exciting show for you today as we discuss lots of fun, exciting news from Comic-Con International.
A.k.a. San Diego Comic-Con 2016.
A.k.a. we didn't attend.
Yeah, we did not attend.
Yeah.
But lots of new trailers and cool information that we will get to in the second half. However, to get us started, what'd you do today?
Today or...
What'd you do this week?
What'd you do today? I woke up. Suddenly, I was awake.
I didn't die in the night again.
No. So, this week, as I mentioned last week, I was really looking forward to Bojack Horseman Season 3 coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And so, it was released on Friday, and I actually have had the chance, I got to watch the whole season. It's not super long, so... It was fantastic. I think it was probably... I liked... Season 1 is still my favorite, but this is probably my second favorite.
Okay.
They're all great, though. The show got really dark.
As it has a tendency to
Yeah,
do.
it got really dark.
I haven't seen all of the episodes this season yet, but we know that what this show is, so we will spoil away.
Bojack is he gets into his old, obviously his old patterns of substance abuse, of not giving a shit about other people, and really just going deeper in his despair over the horrible things he does in his life. There are plenty of fantastic animal puns, and a very great satire on Hollywood culture.
Yes.
A good old Hollywood.
I love the different things that are common to Bojack Horseman, like using alliteration and rhyming, things like that. Like they'll train a whole bunch of different words together that start with P or end in eel.
Or they'll
exactly. Like Ally McBeal is with Jessica Biel on the with Seal.
Yeah, Neil McBeal.
Neil McBeal, the Navy SEAL.
The Navy SEAL. There's some of that in this season. Also, the other thing I really enjoy is you get this season I think did a really good job of, like, obviously the focus of the show, the workhorse is Bojack, but it also focused a lot on all of the other characters. Mr. Peanut Butter and Diane have a good arc in terms of them trying to work on their marriage, and they go to counseling and stuff. Princess Carolyn, I felt like her character arc is in particular very strong. She has a kind of starts her own. She ended last season leaving Vigor, her firm, and starting her own agency.
Right.
And so this kind of explores with how her agency's doing. It ultimately kind of fails, but then she has like a resurgence. She starts dating a mouse, and it's kind of a cute little joke when the cat and the mouse assume they can't be together, and they end up kind of falling in love, sort of. So yeah, that was good. Obviously, Mr. Peanut Butter always just cracks me up. But then Todd also has an interesting arc with his old love from when he was in high school comes back in his life, and he's being really weird with her. And then she asks him. It's funny because near the end of the season, she's like, "What's up with you? I don't get it. Are you gay? Is that what it is? Because if you're gay, it's fine." And he says, "I'm not gay. Well, I don't know what I am. I'm not straight, I don't know what I am." He's like, "I think I'm nothing." And she's like, "Okay, that's cool." So I wasn't sure if he's saying he's asexual, or I didn't understand.
Or pansexual.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. But Bojack fucked his friend.
Bojack does a lot of that.
Yeah. But the penultimate episode, that means the second to last, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that episode, Bojack goes on a crazy bender, kind of like he did when he tried to write his own book in season 1 with Sarah Lynn, and full spoiler alert, it results in Sarah Lynn ODing and dying.
Whoa!
It gets pretty intense, and they go all over the country on their little 3-week bender, Bojack tries to make amends. There's a really funny scene where he keeps trying to go and apologize to his publicist, and his publicist starts telling him a story, and then he'll black out, and then he's like, comes to in the car, and he's like, shit, turn the car around, and it happens like 4 or 5 different times, and then so he has Sarah Lynn write down. Sarah Lynn's like, we don't have to go back, I wrote down what he says, and he looks at what she wrote down, and it starts off as like what the story was, and then just becomes complete Sarah Lynn nonsense. So, the other episode I wanted to mention, which you have seen this one, was the underwater episode. So,
oh yeah, the Pacific Ocean Film Festival.
Yeah,
POF.
yeah. So they go to Pacific Ocean City, which is underwater, and because they're under the water, underwater creatures like have like their own language. It's like a joke on like Cannes or like those film festivals.
Going to any country that you don't understand
Right.
the language
So
or the culture.
But because they're underwater, like how sound travels underwater, it sounds all like the fish, and so all the above water animals have to wear like helmets. So
yeah, some
breathe.
kind of a breathing apparatus.
Well, most of the episode they can't talk through them.
Yeah,
so
all of Act 2 and 3 of the episode are completely without dialogue.
Yeah, it's all, and the music is all like whimsical and kind of, the music's what pulls on. It reminded me of like a silent film, really.
Yeah.
But at the end, you find out that Bojack's just an idiot. It wasn't pressing the button so that he could talk. He could have talked the whole time.
Yeah, there was a little voice module on the device, and he didn't know until the last scene.
And that scene when the seahorse dad was having the babies on the bus, that was pretty hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
The other one I wanted to mention is there's an episode called Brat Brat Pew Pew. And
oh, yes, I also saw Brat Brat Pew Pew.
Brat Pew Pew is all about abortion, and I must admit, I have never laughed so much at abortion as I did in that episode.
Yeah, well, and then they make it a point to say that abortion is a big, scary thing, and if women can laugh at it, then it makes it a little less scary.
Right.
I think that was the writer's way of, like, justifying, like, look, we know this is horrible and it makes you feel uncomfortable,
Right.
but we think that it's important to make fun of everything.
Yeah, and it's also just funny that Sextina Aquafina, baby, was singing her song about how, I quote, she hopes that that the fetus has a soul so that it will feel pain when she ejects it from her hole.
Yes.
It is horrible and hilarious.
And then, of course, the teenager at the abortion clinic is like, you know she's not serious.
She doesn't actually want to shoot her fetus with a gun. Brat, brat, pew, pew.
My favorite part of that episode is when all 3 of the girls are in the back of the limo and they're making different gun sounds.
Yeah, they're all trying to make their guns.
Diane's like, bang, ka-chow, bang, bang. And she goes, nah, it's brat, brat, pew, pew. And then Princess Carolyn's like, kazooie, kablam!
And then Mr. Peanut Butter just turns like, can you guys stop doing that? It's making me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, which, again, I was trying to explain the show to my wife. She was like, so wait, why are there animals and people? I said, they don't actually explain why animals are, walking around and have, like, human-like bodies. But they do address the fact that different animals do have different things that are, like, typical of that. It's almost like stereotypes of different races.
Right.
So, for instance, with the dog, Mr. Peanut Butter, he sees them making the bang bang sounds. And with a lot of dogs, you point your hand like a gun at them, and they do start to act really weird.
Right.
So that it's just something that I thought was funny.
You also get to meet Mr. Peanut Butter's brother, Captain Peanut Butter.
And you don't get to meet his wife, though, Mrs. Captain Peanut Butter.
Yeah, on the Labrador Peninsula, which I thought was also a funny joke.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great season. I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm going to have to finish it up, especially now that I have all those terrible things to look forward to.
Yeah, it's very good.
I have a couple episodes left to watch. Okay.
Now, I heard that you went and saw something yourself.
I did. Last night I went and watched Star Trek Beyond, which was, I thought it was a great movie. I personally, kind of like what you said about the seasons of Bojack Horseman, I think it was a little less than the original one that came out. I mean, the original of these new movies, obviously. Right. The one that came out in 2009. But a little above Into Darkness. Now, a lot of people give Into Darkness a lot of flack and they hate it or whatever. I thought it was good. But I do think that this one was actually better than Into Darkness. There was a lot of action. There were a lot of really funny moments as well. Basically, the ship comes back from a mission, and they get a distress call from this alien woman who's saying, like, hey, my ship has been attacked and my crew is stranded. We need to save them. They're on this planet in this nebula.
Now, this is the woman that looks strangely like the Dark Elf from Thor, right?
No, this is a different woman.
Oh, okay.
But they meet her on this planet.
Right.
So they get the woman on the ship and they fly into the nebula. And when they come to this planet, they get encountered by a swarm of little jet fighters, like thousands and thousands of them. So they look like a swarm of bees. And
which was shown in the trailer.
Right. And these jet fighters, the way that they attack isn't just like they're shooting a bunch of lasers. They actually like pierce the hull. Like they go right through the shield and pierce the hull.
They are like bees.
And then they open up, and so all these people can board. And they use themselves as like teeth of like a chainsaw. So they cut the engines off of the Enterprise, and then ultimately they cut the saucer part up from the main part.
So they destroy the whole ship.
They cut it into pieces, and then the saucer crash lands onto the planet's surface, and they kidnap all the escape pods. They like grab them and bring them all down to the planet to keep the crew as prisoners.
That sucks.
Specifically, they're looking for an artifact that the Enterprise picked up that it turns out is a piece of a weapon.
Oh, okay.
A super ancient weapon. Now, the bad guy, played by Idris Elba, is a guy named Krall. One thing that I think the movie failed was to give us enough of Krall. I feel like if you have Idris Elba, give him something to do. He's an extremely talented actor. So that was just a personal qualm of mine. Like I said, the movie has a lot of action. One thing that they did really well is that once they get down to the planet, they broke it up into different groups. So you get to see a lot of interpersonal connection between Kirk and Chekhov, which, of course, R.I.P. Anton Yelchin. You get to see Spock and Bones.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to see Scotty and this new girl, Jayla.
Okay.
As well as Uhura and Mr. Sulu. Mm-hmm. Those are like the 4 different plots running at the same time. Uhura and Sulu are imprisoned, and then Spock, Bones, Scotty, Jayla, and Kirk, Chekhov are on different parts of this planet. And they're trying to get back together.
Now, in the movie, I heard it was that Sulu was going to be gay. Was he gay?
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything that they, say.
Which is good, that they don't just be like, oh, by the way, he's gay.
They get back to this place that they call Yorktown, which is a giant, spherical, it's not like the Death Star. It's actually way more like Inception, because it's made up of these different rings, and each one has its own gravitational pull, so, you look up and you see a different city above you. So, yeah, it's like a giant spherical base.
Okay.
And they get there for, shore leave after they complete the mission at the beginning. But
this is before their ship gets destroyed.
Yeah, this at the beginning of the movie. This is Act 1. This is where they then figure out that there's this woman who has a crew.
Right. So
they get to this base, and as they're all getting off the ship,
they go to a gay club.
Yeah, they go to a gay nightclub, and they just rage really hard.
Right.
And you see Sulu do a line, not current Sulu, do a line off of old Sulu's dick
in a fishnet tank top.
Yeah, absolutely. But what actually happens in the movie, which isn't that, is you see Sulu get off the ship, and a little girl runs up saying, "Daddy," and she picks him up, and then there's another Asian man there, and he kind of puts his arm around him, and he puts his arm around him, and they walk out. They don't say, "Hey, this is the guy that I fuck, and this is our kid
Was
together."
the daughter Asian?
Yeah.
Oh, because presumably they adopted, or he had a kid from something else.
Yes, or a surrogate, or it's the future, man. Maybe they just took their DNA and made a baby out of it.
Maybe in the future, it's humans have become seahorses, and the men can carry the child.
Or they just did it in a test tube,
That's true.
They could theoretically do that now in a couple of years.
That's interesting that he sticks to his own race. He didn't want to be,
Well, maybe he just found someone he loves, or maybe Hollywood knows, hey, we're already throwing in that he's gay. Let's not rock the boat anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Good for.
Although George Takei was not happy about it.
About making Sulu gay?
Yeah.
Really?
He said something else. Like, it's unfortunate because I know that they did it just for me, as like a nod to me, and that's nice, but the character I played wasn't ever mentioned as being gay.
Right.
So don't rewrite the character on my behalf.
Right.
You know, I love that character.
Well,
just as he is. But they never said he was straight either.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter. I think it's nice that they, you know, apparently in the future they didn't outlaw homosexuality.
But apparently they still just listen to Beastie Boys all the time.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that part yet, but...
No, I meant, like, just because, like, apparently in the other movies they were listening to it.
Well, in the first
trailer they were playing
in the first movie, in, like, the first act, you see young Kirk driving his dad's old, like, Camaro or whatever, and playing Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. Which then in this movie, what ends up happening is... Towards the end of the movie, after they figured out, oh no, there's the bad guys left the planet with this biological weapon, and they're planning on destroying Yorktown and killing all these innocent civilians,
including Sulu's husband,
Sulu's husband and daughter. They're like, okay, we gotta go stop them. So they're flying at him in this really old ship because the Enterprise breaks down. But they find an old crash ship, because what they do is they just crash any ship that comes to that nebula, they crash it on that planet.
Oh, okay. So
they find an old, like over 100 years old, Federation starship. And they're like, okay, they get it up and running. It's the USS Franklin. So they get the USS Franklin up and running, and they fly it up in after the bad guys. And they're like, okay, so this swarm, how do they fly without crashing into each other? Okay, it's, they have like some kind of psychic link to one another. How can we disrupt that? We need to blare some kind of frequency, loud and distracting, so that they crash into each other. Because there's like 1 million ships or more. So there's no way that they'll be able to concentrate and be in sequence, and they'll crash into each other. So they started blaring the Beastie Boys Sabotage.
Oh, no.
Which... Like, the main battle of the movie is won by the power of rock and roll.
Oh, God.
One part of the movie, I was like, what? Are you serious?
Yeah, that sounds kind of lame. I mean, I've never seen any of the Star Treks, but that makes me not want to.
Here's the thing. It was fun. It was a badass moment, especially because, like, Kirk is like, all right, we're going to need something loud and distracting. And Scotty's like, I've got just the thing. And they put it on, and Kirk kind of sits back in the seat a little bit more and grins. He goes... That'll do it.
Yeah, like in the
And it's a
trailer.
callback to him as he was a kid playing the same song.
Gotcha.
You know?
Well, that makes sense.
Here's the thing about it, though. And apparently was brought up to J.J. Abrams after the first movie, and he was like, oh, I didn't even consider that. The Beastie Boys have a song called Intergalactic, in which they talk about Mr. Spock.
From Star Trek?
From Star Trek. So either in this universe... the Beastie Boys just never wrote that song, which is probably the more likely of the two, or the Beastie Boys were prophets, or they were also time travelers, and they came back in time, and they ended up in the... When did the Beastie Boys start? The 80s?
Late 80s.
And they came back in time and started a band, and they just peppered in stuff that was gonna happen in the future as, like, they found it funny.
Well, maybe when Spock went back in time... Before he got to the time of the movie, of the first Star Trek movie, he actually originally went back too far to 1985 or whatever, and communicated with the Beastie Boys.
Oh, that
then had just been living since then, to whatever year the Federation is doing their thing and stuff.
Now, in this movie, they did make a little tribute to Leonard Nimoy. They made it a point to say that Ambassador Spock has died, because he's been living in this timeline. He can't get back to his own, because that timeline's gone.
Okay.
So he's been living in this timeline.
That's fucking confusing.
Well, there's Commander Spock and Ambassador Spock.
Right.
And Ambassador Spock, they don't speak of them as if they're the same person. They're not.
Even though they are.
Biologically speaking, yes.
That's really weird.
So Ambassador Spock passes away, and there's a nice touching moment in the movie when they're back at Yorktown, a place, where... Zachary Quinto, the current Spock, finds a box of things that was belongings of Ambassador Spock, and in it is a picture of the original crew, which, of course, I'm sitting in the movie, I'm like, well, isn't he like, hey, this guy doesn't look a thing like this guy.
Right, yeah.
But it was also, like, for anyone who's been a fan of the series, like, I was talking to our mother and father, who are Trekkies, and they were saying like it was really like that was a big moment for us because this was looking back at our past.
But he found the box and it had the picture of like the old Captain Kirk and stuff.
Yeah, William Shatner and all of the old
nothing
cast.
Bothered him that William Shatner doesn't look a thing like Chris Pine.
Well, I think the implication is when they get older, they start to look different. And maybe because it's a different timeline, they have different experiences, they eat different foods and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, the genetics are different.
There's got to be a little suspension of disbelief.
That's weird. I think that if you're going to reboot a movie, you shouldn't make it connect to the old ones like that. That's just too convoluted.
But you see, that would just piss off fans. This is a way to, like, do fan service for the old Trekkies and get a whole new generation. A next generation.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, and Voyager Deep Space Nine. A new generation of viewers to the Star Trek universe. So, this movie, like I said, it had some dumb moments, but it also had a lot of cool stuff. I love the new character of Jayla that was introduced.
Okay.
Which is actually a funny thing. I heard an interview with Simon Pegg where he was saying, when we were writing the movie, we didn't have a name for that character yet. So we just kept saying, she's like Jennifer Lawrence. They just kept referring to her as Jennifer Lawrence. And they're like, why don't we call her J-Law? So they started saying, like, and then the character J-Law will do this and that. They didn't mean the character's name will be J-Law.
Right.
They were just saying that
like
so that
J-Law,
they didn't have to keep
Jennifer
saying
Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence when they were storyboarding it. And then eventually they're like, wait a minute, J-Law's a good name for an alien.
Yeah, there you go.
Why not? So, yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, there you go. You inspired something that you have no connection to.
Right. She's going to want royalties for that one.
Yeah.
So you're out of 10 for Star Trek Beyond.
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Okay, so good.
I thought it was good. It wasn't great. I'm not going to go watch it in the theater again. But I will have no qualms of picking it up and watching it on DVD or Blu-ray. Or digital download.
Maybe one day I'll invest the time to watch those movies, but not today.
I think you'd like them.
I just don't really... I don't know. Star Trek's never, piqued my interest.
Now, here's an interesting connection, though. A lot of the characters that have been in the movies have also been, specifically all of the villains, have also been characters in the Marvel Universe.
Oh.
Just as weird connections. Idris Elba, obviously, who's the villain in this one. He was Heimdall. Benedict Cumberbatch is now going to be Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And I'm drawing a blank on who played Nero in the first movie.
Wasn't it Eric Bana?
Yeah, that's what it was. And he played Bruce Banner. Yeah. Or David Banner, actually. It wasn't Bruce Banner.
They really called him David in the movie?
Yeah.
In that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dumb. All right, well, I think it's about that time for our Geek of the Week.
No.
No? Why not?
Because I didn't get to the twist.
Oh.
But in any case, there was a twist in the movie.
Oh, okay.
My problem was they put the twist way, way at the end, and by the time you figured it out, it's like, oh, that's cool. I didn't see that coming, but it didn't impact the plot at all. If they had not put the twist in, it wouldn't have made any difference.
So the twist was it was all a dream.
No, the twist was that Idris Elba's character Krall is actually human.
Oh.
He was the captain of that ship that crash landed on that planet, and he got this alien technology that allows him to kind of absorb the life force of other living things.
Okay.
But in doing so, he kind of begins to look like them. So he's been absorbing these other aliens. That's why through the whole movie he looks like an alien. But once he starts absorbing humans, he starts to look more and more like himself. And it gives his character some motivation. Turns out he was a soldier before the Federation got together. And then once the Federation came together and made peace with the Romulans, they were like, okay, you're a captain of a ship or whatever. But the Federation isn't a military, it's a scientific organization. Mm-hmm. So he still has the mind of a soldier, and he's like, they betrayed me, they made peace with my enemies, I'm going to use this weapon to disrupt the Federation. You know what I mean?
It's kind of dumb motivation.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a crazy person.
Right.
But it gave him some motivation, because before that it was just like, he's the most two-dimensional villain ever.
Right.
I don't like you. I kill you. This one, at least it gave him a little bit. I think it was still a two-dimensional villain. Mm-hmm. Maybe 2.5-dimensional.
Maybe that's because the relation to the Marvels always have nonsense villains, so...
See, what I was saying before was, like, you have Idris Elba. Give us that twist in Act 2, and then let Act 3 have a lot of filling in on who he is. you know, and make it like he's the new Khan.
Yeah.
You know, don't kill him off at the end of the movie. Have him run away.
Did they kill him off?
Of course.
That's lame.
The actual weapon that he uses is trying to use to kill everybody. They kill him with it.
Right. Well, there you go, Star Trek.
Yeah. But in any case, like I said, 7.5. Not a bad score.
Right. Okay. Well, it sounds decent.
I thought Into Darkness was a 7. I thought the first one was like an 8.5.
Oh, okay. So they've gotten progressively less good.
No, 8.5. First one, 7. Second one, 7.5.
Yeah, but there's
third one.
But
they're not as good as the first one.
Right. Okay. Which is usually what happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's about that time for Geek of the Week.
Geek of the Week.
You know what? Your sound bites are fantastic. So this... Oh, goodness gracious. All right, so this week, our Geek of the Week is master bartender Philip Traber. If you've been on the internet, you might have seen the video of this master bartender pouring an insane amount of... Excuse me. I just had a hiccup.
It's okay.
An insane amount of Jaeger bombs.
17 to be exact.
Yeah, well, he previously held the world record for pouring 14 at once. Well, he shattered his old record by pouring 17 Jaeger bombs at once.
Although I'm reading here, apparently the Guinness Book of World Records has not yet acknowledged him. Maybe it's because he was pouring Jaeger bombs and not Irish car bombs, which use Guinness.
Oh, no. Maybe. Wah, wah.
Shrimp.
Anyway.
Split zam.
So... Master bartender Philip, you have to check out this video because it's insane. His technique is absurd. He stacks the glasses and holds them behind. Uses his head and his arms and shoulders to hold these glasses. Then behind his head is filling them all up with the Jaeger. He uses a whole fifth of the Jaeger.
He doesn't seem to spill a single drop.
No, and then at the end his crescendo is knocking them over, and the shot glasses go into the Red Bull a domino effect. It's pretty. And then I think my favorite part of the video is after he finishes it, his bro just comes out from the side, and him and it are celebrating like they just won the World Cup or something.
Yeah, he rips the guy's safety glasses off his head and just throws them away, and it's just rah!
So if I
meanwhile, the whole time, someone in the background is yelling in German.
Yeah, if I ever go to Germany, I'm gonna have to hang out with these guys because apparently they party pretty hard.
Yeah. So congrats to you and your amazing talent. You are our Geek of the Week.
And at our Strong in the Geek 1-year party, you should be our bartender.
Yeah, in the Geek of the Week Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Introduction episode. In any case, good on you, mate. Cheers.
All right. Why do you say good job in German?
Guten Jobben.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
All right. So
now, before we dig into Comic-Con, there's one last thing I did want to talk about. I got a Loot Crate this month.
A what?
Yes, a Loot Crate, which I just signed up for that. This is the first time I've gotten one.
Is it www.lootcrate.com?
Yes. Okay. And hopefully if we can get a sponsorship deal, it'll be lootcrate.com/strongandgeek. But until then, just lootcrate.com.
Yeah.
In any case.
They're going to hate you for saying that on the air.
Like they know. So we tried it out, and it was the Futuristic Crate.
Okay.
In it, there were items from...
Well, so if you don't know, Loot Crate is a service where it's $20 a month, right? 20?
Yeah, around 20.
Okay, around there. And then they send you a box full of nerdy shit.
Yeah, basically. Subscription box, there's a lot of them.
Right
now we're doing a free commercial for Loot Crate.
Yeah.
But, you know what, I figured people do unboxing videos.
Some people might think that, that's you... That's you talking about Loot Crate. They think it's like a weird porn thing. Yeah, I got my Loot Crate and then I was shoving it up my butt. That's what.
Yeah, that's what I did with all of the toys.
Yeah.
After my kids were done playing.
He got a cute little Mega Man toy and he shoved it up his butt.
Mega Man. One of the arms came off. It's still up there.
Oh God.
All right. So in any case, yeah, the box comes with a lot of cool stuff. This month was based on the future and sci-fi. So it came with a little pin that was the Vulcan live long and prosper hand gesture.
Okay.
A little sticker that I have put on the back of my laptop that was a plaque of the USS Enterprise. So it had 2 Star Trek things.
Yeah, very Star Trek.
It also had a little model of the Planet Express ship from Futurama.
Ah, okay.
A little Mega Man figurine. A Rick and Morty t-shirt, which is really nice. It's in some kind of alien language, a diagram of the portal gun that he uses.
Cool.
as well as a comic called 4001 AD.
Which have you read?
I started reading it. I haven't read the whole thing yet. It's that kind of very realistic looking artwork as opposed to stylized. It's about a space warrior from New Japan, which is like the last empire on Earth,
the last samurai
in 4001 AD. But I don't know. It seems pretty cool. It's the first issue, so I'm gonna check it out.
Okay.
It also, the box did come with something that I want to share with the viewer.
So viewers.
Well, one of the viewers. It'll only work for once.
Right.
So in order to get this, you're going to have to contact us, message me directly if you want it, and share the video and stuff, and I will give it to you. It is a code that can be used for Star Trek Online. You can redeem it at the Lootcrate website, and it'll give you, I think it's like $50 worth of DLC or something like that for Star Trek Online, which is an MMO where you like make a captain and a ship.
And you know how we feel about DLC.
Yeah, right. But free DLC I'm totally cool with.
That's true.
And here's the thing about it. I am not going to play the game, so I'm willing to give it to you for free. All you have to do is share the video and send me a message letting me know that you are interested. First come, first serve on this one.
And spread the wonderful word of Strong and the Geek to the masses.
Yes. Now, we can dig into our main topic for the night. San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, so obviously there's so much happening at Comic-Con, and you all have the ability that you can use the internet to figure out, and also I think Sci-Fi was showing a lot of it.
Yeah, so end of episode.
You can, no.
No. Look it up, fuckers.
There's plenty that you guys can also go explore on your own. So we're just going to talk about the things that really were important for us and that we thought was a really big deal. So to get things started, holy shit, they showed the trailer for Justice League.
Yeah, that was a cool little trailer.
So it wasn't actually a trailer, in my opinion,
teaser.
as more as just the footage they have so far they put together.
They don't have any special effects for it done yet or anything.
But there was one thing about the trailer that I'm going to mention that I think because it's so early on, it's still in production, why it looked kind of not as good as I think it will be. But first things first, I loved everything I saw. The footage was awesome.
Of course you did.
It starts off, with Bruce Wayne talking to some people about, obviously he's referring to Aquaman, and then you get your first look at Jason Momoa, and holy shit does he look awesome.
Yeah, he looks super badass.
Like, I was told the second he turned around and he had the eyes and everything, I was sold that, yeah, Aquaman's gonna be sweet. And my friend actually texted me after watching the trailer and was like, dude, they made Aquaman look like really crazy, awesome, and powerful. And I was like, well, Aquaman is awesome.
Yeah, and he's also Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
So you have Khal Drogo / Aquaman.
Yeah, so we get our good look at the Flash, and we get to see some Bruce Wayne and Barry Allen banter. And I love how they're making Barry Allen a complete nerd, which is very appropriate.
Yeah, that whole little bit where he's like, I don't have a lot of friends.
And he just says, agreed. I need friends, agreed. For all the people out there who were worried about, how's Barry Allen gonna have long hair and a beard? Obviously,
he cleaned himself up. He's cleaned himself up since the clip.
Well, he's become. Presumably, he's donned the suit and everything since then.
And maybe he's working for the CIA, and they probably have.
You mean CCP
or the CCPD? Yeah, that's what I meant to say. And they probably have regulations on hair length and beard.
So we get to see Wonder Woman and Bruce doing their thing, trying to recruit. And then we get our first look at Victor Stone, and then later on as a human, so presumably in a flashback or something.
Yeah.
And then him as Cyborg. And this is where that was the only thing that I think, because the movie's still in production and in post they'll clean it up more. I thought Cyborg looked a little
super fake.
A little CG.
And I thought the same thing, but I agreed with you. They're going to clean it up.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's going to give it his kind of mute gray tint that everything kind of gets.
But I definitely thought, they'll clean that up in post.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I really liked what I saw, and I'm excited to see. I like that they didn't, other than that brief, which it looked like, were those Japanese warriors or something bearing that mother box? I couldn't tell.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
But other than that, we didn't get any really look at Steppenwolf or any of that kind of stuff, which is good. I don't want.
Well, if he's 100% CG, they probably haven't made him yet.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
We don't know if he's 100% CG. But...
Yeah, I don't know. Presumably, he's much bigger than a regular person. But if they're doing anything properly, they'll use mocap.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be sweet.
Yeah, no, I think that this is going to change a lot of people's minds. Because even after Ultimate Cut has come out of BVS, there's still a lot of people that's like, that movie was irredeemable, whatever. You know, I mean, some people like to dig their head in a hole and whatever.
Right.
But this one looks like it's much more in tone to, like, the Avengers. Like, a lot more lighter of tone.
Right.
A little bit more levity. That people seem to be happier to be in this universe.
Right. I'm interested to see how they bring back Superman, because obviously he'll be back at some point in that movie. And
I hope not.
No, he is.
You see, that's the thing.
No,
I feel like
Cavill is...
if you made the move to do Death of Superman, then leave him out for a movie, or like maybe the last scene is like a post credits sort of deal. Not necessarily post credits because they don't do that, but there's just a moment like the grave bursts open, he flies into the air, and then credits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then you're left waiting another 2 years or something.
Yes, that's you got to draw it out.
I don't like that.
Don't shove it all into one movie.
They're not. That's why he died in the last movie. He comes back in this movie. That's fine. He was dead for a year, just like in the comic book.
I don't know.
And Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad are in between, so it's 2 movies without him.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with bringing him back for Justice League. And I'm also interested to see how what goes on with Cyborg, like if they're going to show how he got hurt and all that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. And I really am interested to see when the parademons get there and all that action, what's going to be going on. Because we got a little, it's particularly Flash's powers, because we got a little glimpse of Flash, like we talked about, him catching the Batarang.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love the Flash, and I want to see how, I liked what I saw about how his powers work, with like the electricity going off, even if he's like standing still, which it gives you the idea that he's manipulating the Speed Force.
And I liked how Bruce Wayne said to him, like, you're really fast. And he's like, that's a really simple way to put it.
So obviously Barry at this point has a kind of an understanding of his powers.
Yeah, I think by the start of this movie, he kind of knows what the Speed Force is.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll get into it. Maybe they won't. I do think that from the teaser, now obviously this is just a teaser, it looks like they're going to be focusing way more on Aquaman and Flash's relationship than Cyborg's. Because they just kind of threw Cyborg in at the end of the trailer.
And that could just be based on how much footage they have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just based on this teaser, it seems like it's going to be like they're really going to focus on him getting those two in, and then he's going to be like, oh, and by the way, this other dude, he signed up from day one. He's awesome.
I must admit that one shot of Jason Momoa standing there with that wave like about to crash on him, I thought looked so awesome. Like, I'm sold on Aquaman when I see that.
Yeah. No, I think Aquaman's going to be a great addition. People have been making fun of him since the Super Friends.
Yeah.
And it's about time that he gets the recognition he deserves.
I feel like after this movie, people are going to be like, oh, no, he's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go read an Aquaman comic.
Now, to the people that I've heard that are like, well, why do they got to make him look so tough? Why can't they give him a little of the comic book, green and orange or whatever? It's like, dude, it's a different universe.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're trying to make it like a real live person.
Right. And I mean, he looks like the Grant Morrison kind of JLA, like that he did in the Justice League cartoon, with like just the pants and shirtless and like really strong. I wonder if they're ever going to end up giving him that harpoon arm.
Or maybe at the end of the movie he's going to get his arm cut off.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be to save his son.
Right.
But
I don't know for whatever purpose, but I mean, I think he looks sweet. I think the movie looks sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Now, speaking of Wonder Woman, we also got the Wonder Woman trailer, which was very cool.
Which was also awesome.
But you know what? Kind of in a funny way that Justice League kind of made me... I keep on calling it JLA. Justice League kind of made me think of the Avengers. Wonder Woman super made me think of Captain America First Avenger.
Just because it takes place in the past. I mean, so that's...
Now, this is World War I, not World War II.
I will say that, first things first, I like how, and good on Gal Gadot for this, I was sold from this trailer on the idea that, no, she's younger and more naive. She hasn't become Wonder Woman yet.
Yeah.
Because from her dialogue and some of her actions, she really looks like foreign and kind of lost.
Well, like, right out of the gate, she's like, you're a man. And Steve Trevor's like, yeah. Do I not look like one? Or whatever the line is.
And her talking about, she doesn't have a father, but Zeus brought her to life, so matter-of-factly. Yeah. And Chris Pine is just like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it was cool. I
We
really
got our
enjoyed
first
it.
glimpse of Hippolyta, and the mascara looks awesome.
The battle sequences look like they're going to be really cool, a lot of fun.
The one Amazon flying in the air, shooting an arrow while jumping, that's exactly how I imagine
pivoting
them
in
fighting.
midair and shooting the arrow. You get the actual fighting of her sword and shield, and then dropping the sword and pulling out the glowing golden lasso.
Right. Oh, my favorite is when they shot a mortar and she batted it with the shield.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome.
Well, and when I saw them loading the mortar, I knew that's exactly the shot they were gonna do. The smacking it to the side.
Yeah, good on you, Patty Jenkins, because it looks very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am also thoroughly excited for Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
so 2017 will be a good year for DC Comics.
We also got some cool Now these are rumors about Suicide Squad. There was some new footage that came out that kind of supposedly shows more of the relationship between Joker and Harley Quinn.
There was just a short clip of the Joker having Harleen Quinzel still, and she's like, "What are you going to do to me, Mr. J? Are you going to kill me?" But she calls him Mr. J. So at this point, I think it's when she's already at this been fallen in love with him or something.
Right.
And that's where he delivers the "I'm just going to hurt you really bad" line.
Yeah. Now, from what I understand, in this, the rumor is that the Joker is completely obsessed with getting Harley back.
Right.
And that's why, the moment they break out, why he gets involved. And supposedly, that's also what gets Bruce Wayne involved.
Right.
Because the Joker's back.
Right.
Now, interesting thing about that is that they are going to, I guess, deal with a bit of death in the family. And there's rumor that perhaps Harley Quinn in this universe had something to do with the death of Jason Todd, and because of that, maybe there was a rift between Joker and her. Now, another thing that now again, these are rumors. A big rumor that I heard was that the big bad in this might actually be the Tattooed Man.
Okay.
There's some thought that the enemy has something to do with mysticism, and given where it takes place, people are saying that it might actually be that the Suicide Squad's getting together to take down the Tattooed Man, which I think that would be really cool. I'd love to see a big screen adaptation of the Tattooed Man.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. We talked about that last week.
Yeah,
or a couple weeks ago.
If he's throwing knives off himself and making a tiger jump off his back or whatever.
Yeah. So apparently, also, I just misspoke. There was, during their panel, the Suicide Squad panel, they did show a new trailer. I haven't actually seen it yet. I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah, is that one? Well, that might not be one that's actually released to the public.
Right.
Some of the stuff they keep under wraps.
Well, I think I just looked up and I think it's online.
Oh, okay.
So I'll have to watch that. But at this point, Suicide Squad is 2 weeks away, so thoroughly stoked for that one. Obviously, after that episode, we'll have our review for that at the time. Other also DC news we got were about the shows, about the CW shows. So they released some footage of season 2 of Supergirl. So we had to see Martian Manhunter's going to be back, and him and Supergirl were in combat, and it looks pretty cool. Now that's going to be crossing over with Flash and Arrow more frequently. Also, we're going to get Superman starting from the first episode of season 2. So that's cool that we'll have Superman in this universe now.
Yeah. Presumably, he won't be a character in every episode.
No, from what I understand right now, he's confirmed for the first 2 episodes.
Okay. Hey, maybe Batman one day.
Well, I heard a rumor mill that the CW is working on getting with Fox to try and get the rights to Gotham, using Gotham in their shows. So that will be the first step to ultimately.
Do we know if Gotham's been renewed for another season?
I have no idea.
Because I know that their viewership has
Yeah. Well, I
don't blame it. I've watched the show, but I kind of hate watching it.
I was never a fan of it. So from the Flash and Arrow standpoint, so they have new trailers for both shows. So I'll start with Arrow, and then we can talk about Flash. Arrow's season 5 trailer didn't show too much to explain what's going on.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of
it just kind of was okay. So reminding everyone that our season ended with Damian Dark getting killed and Team Arrow's gone, and it's basically Oliver and Felicity by themselves.
It does seem like Oliver's training a new cast of heroes.
Yeah, so we get Wild Dog, which both you and I assume is a trope on Wildcat.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Now, there's probably some DC character buried way down in the comics named Wild Dog.
Maybe.
Because they love to pull up obscure
Or from
characters.
another universe. It's like the Wildcat from another universe or something. Then we got the new Black Canary. So it was like a younger individual.
Yeah, what did they say her name was? Allison Sharp or something like that?
Yeah. And then we got also our first glimpse of Mr. Terrific, like, trying to train, because he now has decided he wants to be a vigilante. So that's cool.
Yeah. Which, good. I think that they never got enough play out of Curtis before.
Right.
Like, we actually talked about that on a previous episode, that they just use him when they're like, oh, we need a plot device.
Yeah.
Throw in the black guy.
Yeah, we need Felicity to be better, so get Curtis out.
Yeah. Quick, she's been paralyzed. Make a robot ship.
Yeah, for an episode. I really hope that they give Mr. Terrific his costume, because I think his costume looks really cool with, like, the face mask and stuff, so I hope he gets that. I think that'd be sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Flash...
Now, Flash's trailer, I'm way more excited
Yeah,
for.
go ahead. Well, so what happened in that one?
It's Flashpoint!
Yeah, we're diving straight into Flashpoint.
Now, I do think that it's going to be a little painful to watch, because all of the characters are like, screw you, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, so Iris, right away, we see in the trailer that Barry's parents are alive, so he never went to live with Joe.
Yeah, Iris barely knows who he is.
Iris doesn't really know
Joe
who he
gives
is.
him a lot of attitude.
And Joe doesn't really give...
Cisco is a rich person who owns Ramon Industries.
So presumably Cisco became the...
Yeah, well, without...
Harrison Wells.
Yeah, without Eobard Thawne
right.
to create all those things, Cisco probably created those things on his own.
Right.
Although, unlike Flashpoint, it looks like he is going to have his powers, or at least he's going to get them, because he's wearing the costume. You know what I mean? And I don't think they're going to make the whole season Flashpoint.
Right. I know that the first episode's called Flashpoint, so that's what we're starting on.
Yeah.
We also got a glimpse of some new characters. So the Black Flash we saw, kind of,
or whatever they want to call him.
Yeah.
I think they might steer clear of calling him the Black Flash.
Well, that's
just because there's a lot of weird stigma.
I guess, but
especially because Kid Flash is black, so they're like, no, he's the Black Flash.
Oh, dear. But speaking about Kid Flash, we saw Wally in costume.
And it
with
is
power.
It is straight up Kid Flash costume.
Yeah, no jokes there. It looks straight out of the comic book, and I think it looks cool.
Yeah, I think it looks cool. I mean, it's a little silly, but
But we're in a show where there's talking gorillas and
any costume that goes up to your head but doesn't cover your hair, I think is a silly costume.
Yeah.
Whether it's Gambit or Kid Flash or Jean Grey or any of them. Now, obviously, if you have long hair, it makes sense, but I think it looks ridiculous.
Well, it does look kind of silly, I guess, if you put it that way.
Booster Gold.
But I was still... don't hate on my boy Booster. But I was stoked to see it.
Dumb head.
I love Booster Gold. I was stoked to see it, and I think that there's going to be good things. The trailer ended presumably with Eobard Thawne trapped and telling Barry, like, we'll call it Flashpoint.
Who's the villain now? Is what he's yelling at him.
Yeah. So, presumably, Reverse Flash will come back in time, and Barry and him will encounter each other, and Barry will defeat him. But he'll know that Flashpoint has happened. So I'm confused there.
He didn't kill him at the end of the first... Or at the end of the last season.
Right, he just,
punched him.
Right.
So maybe he chases him back to the other timeline, or the timeline catches up. Well, I guess it catches up right to that moment. He doesn't grow up.
Maybe he takes him with him. Maybe after he takes him back with him through the Speed Force, back to the present.
I was going to say, well, here's the thing. It's not like then, Barry Allen wakes up as a kid again, that night. He wakes up, and it's that day, and all of his memories, which, by the way, that's a nightmare. To be like, okay, so everything that happened between him being a kid and that moment as an adult, he won't remember. He's going to fill in that life with his... It's like, hey, do you remember last week when we went out for ice cream? And it's like, who the fuck are you?
Right, yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I'm just thinking that because that moment was all caught up in a temporal, Speed Force-y time circle, timey-wimey, whatever... I just think that Eobard Thawne is going to be there as well. And before he can do anything, Barry's going to lock him up.
Right.
And throughout the season, he's going to be actually the voice of reason.
I think he'll be
telling
him,
Lecter. You can't change everything.
Right.
Because you've created a universe, like he says, this is a mirage. This isn't real.
Right.
And you're starting to see the cracks.
Now, I'm interested to see if they're going to take the Flashpoint route and have characters who are different. Obviously, they're doing that with, like, Cisco and stuff, but I mean, like, for instance, like, Thomas Wayne being Batman.
Yeah.
Like, if we're going to have that sort of thing, or the ramifications of, like, Themyscira and Atlantis at war, and it's, like, ending the world. If they're going to go, like, that extreme.
I think there's going to be a moment where he's going to realize, I can't have everything.
Right.
So I have to decide as to whether I want my family, or if I want my friends. And he's going to have to make the choice, which eventually, I mean... Here's the problem with them doing this other universe rebuilt thing. That means that all the other stuff that happens in Arrow is just disconnected.
Well, I want to see
that's still in the prime timeline.
What I was going to say is I want to see what also happens to Arrow and Legends because of Flash.
Yeah. Now, did we get anything from Legends?
I am not fully aware. I know that they talked about it, but I didn't see a new trailer.
Okay.
So anyway, that's kind of the big DC stuff. Obviously, also, there was some news about Batman and Ninja Turtles are going to be pairing up again, and Legion Superheroes, or sorry, not Legion Superheroes, the Green Lantern Corps and Star Trek are going to be teaming up in a crossover.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was announced about Scott Snyder writing All-Star Batman, so that's going to be... So Scott Snyder's coming back to Gotham, and apparently, from what I've heard, that someone read a couple pages of it, of the script for All-Star Batman #1, and said that it was the best they've ever read of a comic book ever.
Wow.
So that's pretty high praise.
Speaking of rumor mill, just touching on DC one more time before we go over to Marvel, I heard that there is some controversy surrounding the Killing Joke, which, obviously, there's always controversy surrounding the Killing Joke. Feminists are like, you only use her as a tool, and I'm like, the Joker's using her as a tool. That is the plot.
Yeah.
It's not that, it's because she's a woman. It's because she's
Jim Gordon's
daughter. If it was Jim Gordon's son, he would have done the same thing. Except that there's an implication in the writing that Joker may have raped her.
Yeah, well, that's been like that from the beginning.
Now, the writer came out and said, I never saw it that way.
Alan Moore?
Yeah.
Well, it was written like that forever.
Or maybe it was the writer on the movie. But someone came out and said, I was just reading about it this week, they said, I never read it that way. Right. I just thought that because, they do the whole thing with the prostitutes and, like, he always comes here, but he didn't come here. Right. And the idea is that maybe he raped her. They were like, I knew. Right. But apparently, at the beginning of the movie...
Which I'm going to see tomorrow.
Okay, apparently, there's a sex scene between Batman and Batgirl.
Oh.
On, like, the roof of a building. And people are... The idea behind it is it's to show that Batman's not your dad. You know what I mean? And, like, just because he's your mentor doesn't mean he isn't also kind of fucked up in the head and doesn't have, like, a sense of boundary.
This is just a rumor?
That's what I read. That apparently there's a Batman Batgirl sex scene. And that a lot of people are like, oh, but he's like her dad. That's wrong.
Well, he's not her dad.
But that's the thing. He's not her dad. And she's an adult.
Yeah.
And, again, even if it is the mentor-student relationship, it's wrong. It's taboo. And I think it shows more depth as to the fact that Batman doesn't always make it the right choices. Just like he is a human. So, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing. But a lot of people are unhappy, like diehard Batman fans, like, he would never do that.
Weird, yeah. Well, I think that's unusual for me that Bruce, because Barbara is not significantly, but she's much younger than Bruce. Yeah. And I don't know, I don't feel like Bruce would fuck Gordon's daughter, but because Barbara's always, like, had a thing with Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and that's the other thing that I was thinking. I was like, wait a minute, but what about Dick?
Right.
She likes the dick.
Yeah.
Grayson.
That's weird.
I don't know. Just, it's something new, and we're all going to have to watch the movie ourselves and decide what we think about it. But me personally, I think it's just an interesting twist to throw in that's going to make it even that much more impactful to Batman, because not only does he have this mentor-student relationship, but he actually might have kind of a romantic interest, and the fact that Joker attacked her is going to make him even less able to control himself. You know what I mean? He's going to give over into emotion more. So I'm interested to see how it's going to differ from the graphic novel.
Right. They had to add something to it because the actual Killing Joke is a pretty short story.
Yeah.
So, I just don't. I hope that what they added doesn't make me dislike that story more.
It's gonna have to do a lot to make you dislike Batman.
Well, having Bruce and Barbara have sex is kind of a start in that direction.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna...
I can tell your face twisted up a lot when I
don't
said
like that idea. I don't want it to... obviously, it's not going to ruin, the Killing Joke for me. That's a fantastic story. So
what if it is a 30-minute long full penetration, Team America World Police? Dirty, dirty stuff.
Well, after the first few minutes, the initial shock, then I'll probably really get into it.
What if she shits on his chest?
That would be awesome.
What if she takes a bad shit?
Yeah.
Guano's on him.
What if they use, batarangs and get a little freaky? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Apparently, fans, from what I heard, fans didn't react super well to it at their Comic-Con panel. It was mixed reviews.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think a lot of people probably turned off right from the beginning to be like, that would never happen. I'm done.
Yeah. Even though there is apparently, and I know that there in the past have been in some little brief moments here and there have been implications that Batman and Barbara might have had some romantic stuff. For example, in Batman Beyond, when Barbara's the police commissioner,
yeah.
I remember her saying something about how they had a brief romance, but that was it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. He's a man. He has a dick, a bat dick.
Yeah.
And she's a woman. She has a bat vagina.
Right, that's true.
And when bat dick meets bat vagina, bat sex.
Poor Robin. Poor Dick.
Yeah.
Poor Richard.
Poor bird dick.
All right, so hopping over to the Marvel fence.
Yeah. Now, Marvel also had a lot of really cool stuff this con. They showed trailers for Luke Cage, for Iron Fist, a teaser for The Defenders, so all the Netflix shows. We also got confirmation that there's Daredevil Season 3 coming out, and the Punisher series. I don't know if there's going to be a Jessica Jones Season 2, but presumably there will be, because even though Luke Cage and her have a relationship, they kind of... the stories are from each one's perspective. So Luke Cage is a season based on Luke. And I watched the trailer for Luke Cage, and it's awesome. Because it shows you what a street-level superhero's life is like. He can't fly, he can't shoot laser beams out his eyes, but he is bulletproof and super strong. So when he goes into, raid a place or do some damage, it's not the same thing as... Daredevil, where he has to be extra sneaky, and it's these long drawn-out fight sequences, because each one of his punches is just a regular punch. Luke Cage, he's just throwing guys across the room. So that was really cool. We also had Iron Fist, showed a little bit of the idea of, his training and whatnot. I don't know. I'm a big fan of these shows. I think they are some of the best on television, or Netflix in this case. They're really well written, really well directed. Really, the cinematography is always great. So I'm super excited for all of them. Then we also got the teaser for The Defenders, which was just notes being torn off a sheet and then off of a wall, and all the notes together forms the word Defenders. Then we also got news on Ghost Rider being in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I think is going to be really exciting. They're obviously changing some stuff up for the new season. We got some new footage we got some first footage for a lot of things. Now, I haven't seen it personally because it was actually at the con, but we've heard what's coming down the pike. So, for instance, Vulture's going to be in Spider-Man Homecoming, and Spider-Man Homecoming is going to be focusing a lot on actual Peter Parker in high school. It's going to be like a high school drama type deal. We also have Guardians of the Galaxy. Some artwork came out, which shows Baby Groot, as well as a lot of the characters, which I think is going to be really cool. And another trailer for Doctor Strange.
Yeah, which I saw, and so if you recall, I wasn't a fan of the first trailer, but this one I liked.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, except that they shimmied a joke in at the end, which I like that they showed something to see, hey, look, it's also a Marvel movie, there will be jokes, but because the trailer was so serious and even the music, it just didn't make sense.
Oh, see, I like the joke. I liked that.
The joke was funny. It's just it didn't fit at all.
Right.
To give him the Shambhala, and he's like, "Is this my mantra?" And he goes, "No, it's the Wi-Fi password. We're not savages."
I thought that was hilarious.
That was really funny. But if they had shown one or two more jokes during the trailer, it would make sense because you had a very serious trailer.
But they did the age old end the trailer with the silly joke.
Yeah. I thought the trailer looked great. I'm super excited for Doctor Strange. I like that they're introducing magic into the Marvel universe.
Mysticism, as they call it.
Mysticism. I think it's going to be a feast for the eyes. I think it's going to definitely be an IMAX.
Yeah, I think it looked pretty cool. I still am confused about the villain.
Well, they're talking about it being Dormammu, who is basically like a devil type character.
Yeah.
It's
like Trigon.
A powerful demon from another dimension.
I'm interested to see more so than the movie actually how it will kind of mention or like cross over with the other Marvel universe,
Yeah, well, there was a rumor floating around that Tom Holland was spotted on the set, which Spider-Man has done a lot of stuff with Doctor Strange in the past.
Right.
So I wouldn't be too surprised if it's not just a little nod, like not necessarily that they team up, because this movie's going to be really big as an origin story. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a lot like Iron Man, where the actual stuff that happens isn't till like the third act.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the majority of it is just universe building.
Which I'm fair with. I love origin stories.
Yeah. Well, and you need one, especially when you're digging a character out of the barrel that most people have never heard of, like Doctor Strange.
The general audience isn't familiar.
But maybe there's just a quick scene of him when he's first trying to use his powers or whatever, and he's getting his ass kicked, and Spider-Man shows up and helps him out.
Saves him.
Yeah. Or maybe it's something as simple as, like, something happens to Peter Parker in the past, and he's the surgeon that helps him out.
Or after credits scene is something about Spider-Man.
Could be, because they're building up to Homecoming, which they are going into as fast as possible.
So they announced the whole cast,
yep.
And they didn't show any footage or anything, but they were talking a lot about it, and this Peter Parker is here to stay.
Yeah, they want to crank out Homecoming as quick as possible.
I haven't seen, so they showed Guardians footage for Guardians 2. I haven't found it online, but apparently everybody responded really, really well to it.
Yeah, well, there's always stuff at Comic-Con that is not released to general public. It's only to the people there. Which
pisses me off. But
they want to get your ticket money.
Yeah, it makes me want to go to San Diego. So other than I didn't see any news on Avengers coming up, Infinity War or anything.
No.
But there was also more news about Thor Ragnarok, including, and this I was excited about. They showed the Hulk's armor,
Hulk's gladiator armor,
looks awesome.
Which they're making it clear like there is some kind of connection to Planet Hulk.
Oh, I think it's a big connection.
Now, I don't know if it's going to be like this movie is two movies in one, where we're getting Planet Hulk on the side and Thor Ragnarok going on simultaneously, and then maybe they cross over at some point during the movie, or if it's going to be like a buddy cop team up, whatever, the whole time. Because really, realistically, the Planet Hulk through line, if you're not showing him do all the fights, you could sum that up in just a few short scenes. It doesn't actually have to be an entire movie unto its own. So I think that it'll be fine that they're shimmying it. But the armor looks cool, and I can't wait to see it on the Hulk. Especially, I think there was like an axe and a hammer, so seeing the Hulk swinging some big weapons around is going to be neat. Also we just heard some more news coming out of Marvel concerning Civil War II and the fact that everything is supposed to change at the end of Civil War II. We're still trying to figure out exactly what that means and what is going to happen. But as it is said right now, everything is going to be different. We know for a fact that there's going to be a new Iron Man. We don't know exactly what's going on with Captain America. I mean, we know that it's not that he's a Hydra agent. It's that he believes he is because they implanted false memories in him.
Yeah.
So it's not that he is under mind control, and it's not that he's a decoy or whatever. He's doing what he thinks is right based on these false memories that have been implanted in his head.
Hail Hydra.
Yeah, that's why the writers came out and said, like, no, he's not being mind controlled. He is Captain America consciously choosing to be with Hydra. But then there's the trick. it's false memories.
Right.
There's always a trick. These are comic books.
Yeah. Oh, obviously.
Can you imagine if it was just like, no, dude, he's been in Hydra the whole time?
That would be...
Like-
honestly, that would be huge.
Yeah, but people would boycott Marvel Comics
Yeah.
forever.
Maybe hop over to the DC train.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention that Captain Marvel, like we said in the earlier, Brie Larson was confirmed as Captain Marvel
right,
for the
yes.
Captain Marvel movie, which that's cool. And that also, hold on to Captain Marvel, because when we talk about Clash of the Titans, we'll get back to her.
Right.
Yes.
Now, another thing that we are taking a look at, other than comic books, because obviously we've been headfirst into all the comic book stuff, but we also got some other cool stuff out of Comic-Con, like the new King Kong trailer, Kong Skull Island.
Skull Island, which you just showed me prior to starting the show, and I must say, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, great cast.
Oh yeah, Brie
Tom
Larson's in that one
Hiddleston,
too.
Brie Larson,
Yeah, she's all over
Samuel
the place.
Jackson, John Goodman. And this is taking place in the same universe as Godzilla.
And
So they're
boy, oh
gearing up
boy.
for an awesome kaiju crossover movie.
And can we just say, so you get your first, it's very ominous feel, but you get your first look at Kong from like in the middle of the trailer from like a far away, and he is enormous.
Oh yeah,
He
massive,
is
like the
the
size of
biggest-
a building.
I didn't like how he looked more like humanoid than ape. From that shot, his silhouette, he looked like
His dimensions, you mean?
like a giant man.
Yeah, like the arms. Typically on a large ape, the legs are shorter and the arms are longer.
Right. Well, he's supposed to be a giant gorilla, but he looked like a Planet of the Apes gorilla.
Yeah, or like a Sasquatch.
Yeah, like a Sasquatch.
He was like a massive Sasquatch.
Yeah, but oh my goodness, is he huge?
What is it, that episode of South Park with we're going to hunt squatches?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah. So I'm interested to see Skull Island, but
Yeah.
also when him and Godzilla, if they do end up crossing over, that's gonna be sweet.
Well, typically I don't like a lot of these these remakes, like Tarzan and Jungle Book or whatever, like all these movies. I'm like, who cares? Make
Right.
new stuff. But this one specifically looks really cool.
And especially because Peter Jackson's King Kong was a real letdown.
Yeah. Well, and this one, it looks like they're bringing it into a modern era, which is cool. So I don't know. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. Next year's going to be big for movies. Speaking about, you mentioned South Park. Matt and Trey showed up, surprisingly, at Comic-Con to tease season 20 of South Park, which starts in September, so that's exciting, the 20th year. Apparently they made some jokes about how, nobody thought South Park would last 20 years. But they also talked more about the fractured butthole, and also were asked about if they're going to do a Pokemon Go kind of episode, and they were like, dude, we did that in 1999. Like, no, we're not doing an episode of Pokemon. We did that already. So I think a lot of people kind of were expecting them to do a Pokemon episode.
I don't think they'll do a full episode, but there's gonna be a joke to Chin Pokemon Go.
I mean,
They have to do it.
I kind of am fine with them sticking to their guns that, no, we already did that. We don't need to do it again.
I don't know. I think it'll be a throwaway joke. They'll have something about Chin Pokemon and Chin Pokemon Go, and someone will be like, I caught a shoe. And they'll throw something at it, and
Pingu.
It'll just be an actual shoe.
Yeah. So I mean, that was pretty comical. Other than that, I mean, that was really for me the big news from Comic-Con.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always going to be little things here and there. We weren't there in person, so we can't say.
Maybe one day we'll get to go.
We can't talk about who cosplayed the best
cosplays.
Although I do got to say, John Barrowman dressed up as Zap Brannigan from Futurama was pretty awesome.
I liked seeing Henry Cavill in a Guy Fawkes mask just walking around the convention floor and nobody knew it was him. So
Right.
That was pretty comical.
It's comic-conical.
Comic-conical.
So in any case, yeah, we could probably go on to other stuff, but let's go right into our next segment.
So I think it's about that time for Clash.
Clash of the Titans.
So yes, last week we pitted Captain Marvel, now played by Brie Larson,
Yes.
against Supergirl and
Played by whoever.
Melissa
Joan Hart.
No, I think it's Melissa Benoist.
Imagine if it was Melissa Joan Hart.
Oh, God. Anyway.
Supergirl explains it all.
That's pretty funny. So Supergirl won.
Yeah, 2-1. Supergirl took it.
I voted Supergirl, and in terms...
I agreed with you this week.
So Supergirl took that one. So now, Benny boy...
And Twitter also agreed with us.
Right. So take us to this week's Clash of the Titans.
This week on Clash of the Titans, we have a matchup of two villains, one from the DC Universe and one from the Marvel Universe. And it's something that you and I personally have talked about before in the past, but never on the show. I want to see a matchup between Sandman from Marvel, the Spider-Man villain, and Clayface from Batman.
So this is a shape-changing battle.
A shape-shifting giant villain fight.
All right, well, in corner one, tell me about Sandman.
Well, Sandman has a motivation. He's trying to take care of his daughter. And that's one thing that a lot of villains don't have, is the fact that they're not bad all the way to the core. You know, some of them, they're just bad, or they're just self-serving. But a man with an actual motivation, especially one that it's a sick kid, he is going to... A desperate man is a dangerous man. You know what I mean? So... That's one thing. And Sandman is super powerful. Sand is everywhere. There's lots of sand. And he can morph it all to himself. In fact, I've seen a version of him in which it was Sandman on a beach, and they were trying to fight him on a beach, and it was completely impossible. Right. He was everywhere. He was the entire beach.
Right.
So they had to kind of separate him from the beach in order to fight him.
Right. Now, Sandman... has, the power to be completely malleable, to make himself hard, all that kind of stuff. Clayface, in the other corner, has those same abilities.
Yes.
He can change his shape, he can expand, he can get small, he can make himself hard, he can turn his fist into like a big mallet, or into like a spike ball, or whatever.
Yes.
A mace, I mean. But he also has the ability to turn into anyone. And Clayface is most notoriously been used as he impersonates people, and you don't know if it's him or who it is. But in terms of, like, being, like, a super and having have really grandiose powers, that doesn't really get shown too much for Clayface. I mean, he has demonstrated that if he can, like, throw off part of him as, like, sludge and, like, suffocate people
as a weapon.
And murder them.
I mean, he's definitely dangerous.
But he's not become a whole beach dangerous.
Right. Well, I think for the sake of this, we're not going to give... Sandman an arena in which he can become a beach.
Right. But I'm going to have to say, I think I see this one coming down to... Actually, I was originally going to say Sandman, because Sandman can kind of expand so much and grow so much. However, I think that the difference here is that since Sandman is a sand-based villain, but Clayface is...
A clay-based villain?
No. Clayface is just his name, but yeah, he's his own stuff. That
biological putty.
I think that he might be able to... do something with his putty to affect the sand, and make it wet or something, and win. So
here's my take on it.
Win Clayface.
I'm actually going the other way, and at first I was just going to say, it's a tie, whatever. But here's what I think is going to happen. Sandman and Clayface are going to go at it. Sandman is going to be able to stretch himself thin enough that he's not all in one shot together. And he's going to get his little sand particles that aren't connected to necessarily his consciousness, separate himself.
Right.
And those sand particles are going to get into Clayface and basically turn him into concrete. You know what I mean? They're going to thicken him up to a point that he can't even move. And he's going to, like, statuify him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to basically turn Clayface to stone. And then there will be enough sand left for him to constitute himself and walk away. So for me, win Sandman.
All right, fair take. Well, you heard it here. He says win Sandman. I say win Clayface. So we'll have to send that one to the Twitterverse and see what happens in our poll. And keep voting in our polls because we love when people vote in our polls. You have the constitutional right to vote.
Yes, absolutely. Ugh, Constitution.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to do it for us this week here at the Strong and the Geek headquarters.
Of course, make sure to check us out on SoundCloud, on YouTube, on Facebook and Twitter at Strong and Geek, or you can email us at thestrongandthegeek@gmail.com. You can follow him
at the Ben Ramirez,
or follow me at
Ramirez for Prez.
And you all stay strong
and stay geeky. Now, Also, make sure that if you are interested in the Star Trek Online code, hit me up. Either email or DM me.
Of course. And join us next week when we'll be discussing The Killing Joke after we've seen it, and all sorts of other fun stuff on The Strong and the Geek. Chicka chicka.
Bo, bo. Bo, bo.
Joke's on you, there's no post-credit scene this time.